welcome back. We're going to start because it's towards the end. Now, I can basically stand up and give a summary of all the stuff. You can sit down.
Well, I tell you what, it's your turn to just stop for a second because we've got a little surprise for you, Mr. Alan Quayle. In recognition of your 5 years service to the TAD community, we've got you something.
Oh, thank you very much.
A little surprise.
True phone sim?
Yeah, if only.
Telet research sim.
So, and I think the boys, most of us have got a few little things that we'd like to say, but I'll kick off.
Okay.
You know, if it wasn't for you and TADSummit, I wouldn't be doing this multi-operator neutral host thing.
I'm sorry.
It's all your fault. So, thank you very much. And can I present you, on behalf of everybody, with this, which looks remarkably like a dangerous demo prize, but a slightly different shape. It's a 3D laser etched lead crystal trophy thing with all the TADS tadpole stuff in it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And,
that's great. Thanks so much, guys.
And very quickly, I think the others want to say a few words as well.
Okie dokie. Let me just put this over here.
Yeah, so I would like personally to thank Alan for everything. He has given us the opportunity to show, to meet people, to network, to participate. And I told a little bit yesterday, yeah, it was, I think I knew Alan was inviting, we created Apidaze beginning of 2013. Alan invited us to two or three events to present our WebRTC research. And over the summer, I was planning to do an event, and Alan sent me a mail and said, "Okay, what do you think? I would like to set up an event in Bangkok. Okay, what? do you want to be part of the sponsors? I know you're a startup, but okay, we'll find an arrangement." So that's how things started, and it was really great. And from Bangkok, we sat together at the end of the event to decide to make TADAC. I think it was a Tropo suggestion.
Yeah.
Initially, so first TADAC and so on and so on. So it's really impressive, and I'm very thankful for everything.
Thank you so much, Lewis.
Thank you.
I would like to thank you as well, Alan.
Thanks, Sean.
I echo the other comments saying that without you, this would not be possible. And you've been with all of your network and your capacity to foster everyone to go in the same direction and drive the industry forward has been really a key element in gathering everyone around this event. And I think as I chatted with a number of people around, as comparing TADS to other events, the feeling is that everybody agrees that this has nothing to do with other events. It feels like an extended family, like a friendship, and very much open than other events. And to me, it's entirely due to your personality as well and how you're trying to manage this event. So congratulations.
Thank
you.
And
to the next 5 years.
Just real quick, I just want to thank you, Alan,
You're welcome, David.
for not just this event, but for really being the spearhead in this industry, and is much needed in this space, bringing these two worlds together in telecom. And it's certainly, this is my first TADS event.
That's true, because Evan represented you.
Evan was here
over in Istanbul.
last time, and I'm coming back, man. I love it. And thank you. This is, and like Jean said, seems like a warm, close family, great community. And I learned a lot, too, while I was here. So
excellent.
Thanks a lot.
That's the point. Thanks so much.
Well, the man here, my co-conspirator, needs to talk.
I don't really need to talk. I actually just want to do two things. One, I'm one of the half dozen or so in the room that have been to all five. I think I speak for a lot of people in the room. All other tech conferences since November 2013 just get compared to TEDHack and get compared to TADSummit, and we just think they suck. But I think as a community and to everyone in the room, and I know, I'm mentioning folks like Lewis and Jean and James and folks who, it is a community. It is. Lewis called it the TADS family, and I think that's really important. And the other thing I just want to do, because I think he's probably listening, is acknowledge the contribution by Andy Smith logistically to get this all together.
Yeah.
So, shout out again to Andy and get well soon.
Thanks so much, Mark. Okay, thank you so much for the present.
Sit down and shut up now.
You sit down and shut up, I know. It's always dangerous when James is standing. But at least it wasn't a Telet research sim, so I'm pleased about that. Moving on, so we're going to wrap up. As I said, I could be lazy and just summarize it myself, but what I thought we'd do is we get a crowd together to really two things. So I'm going to kick off with highlights and insights. So anybody can jump in. Make sure the microphones, I know James's is turned on, but just from this year, what are some of the highlights and insights for you? Go for it, James. It's
obvious, isn't it? Private mobile networks, we're going to see those popping up all over the place as the spectrum becomes available. The radios are available, all the components are coming online. It's not a good time to be a big mobile network operator, I would say.
I think they have a little window of opportunity still.
Yeah, but they won't move in it, will they? They can't.
Well, no, it's not so much moving into it, it's sort of private LTE networks, how long it's going to take before it starts to impact them. But anyway, go on, please.
Yeah, but I think for me, the fact that the communication is moving from the operator, of course it will be always there, but at least the movement towards the enterprise and looking at all what is happening will make really the capability for any company here to be part of the deal. Because what is the difference with a big operator, which will always select a big vendor, is that those markets, they are open to innovation. And it's really the way that was explained by the group partner. It was really that think about what you need to provide and bring the business case, because they are open for all business cases, they are open for ideas. And there is a place for everyone here to do it.
Exactly. No, that's a good point.
I guess again, coming with my open source collaboration bias, I would say that one thing I noticed is that over the past 5 years, we started with stats, then moved into TADHack, thinking that it's a good idea to have a technical stream and a business stream. What is good is that those two streams are converging, meaning that we have been seeing a number of companies like Voxys, by example, that came from a TADHack ID up to being created as a startup and now moving to the next phase of getting seed found and then moving to the production and being rolled out in many different places. So
exactly,
to me, it's all of this ecosystem that we were discussing about. Okay, let's try to move the industry forward together. Let's try to bring vendors, partners, startup applications so that we have all of the value proposition in integrators, of course, in one place. I see that happening, meaning that it's coming. We see it. The next phase is let's keep executing. Let's get more of that. So that's what I'm. So I think we as an industry we did already a good job in terms of getting there. But now it's like let's keep executing and let's grow that. And,
yeah, because that's the thing that surprised me. I remember it was a conversation back in 2013 with Evelyn in the spring, where he was suggesting we need to do something in building an ecosystem, building an event focused around sort of telecom APIs. And it was one of those conversations where unless you say no, you're going to get sucked into it. So, and I remember thinking back then but this is already understood. It's mature. Telecom APIs have been there for 10, 15 years. But I think as we're moving from concept through initial deployments into more mainstream deployments with programmable telecoms, we're just realizing the massive uphill struggle we have in terms of education. I mean, I was really proud that Utku was able to join us to present how he was able to take a hack from basically March this year and to implement it in his enterprise. We need lots more of those cases. I would say that sort of Utku is a special case. He's a geek and he's really interested in sort of telecoms. It's really trying to get more and more web developers within the CIO, getting them educated in just how easy and straightforward it is. And that's why, having sort of Capgemini here with Patrice, also with Michael, with DataArt, and you're living, breathing, all the challenges that enterprises face day in, day out. And it's really helping them understand just how powerful these capabilities are. So we're starting, but you're right, we've got a long road ahead of us. Again, any insights?
Yeah, I would actually like to continue on pick up where you just left off. It was a quite nice transition to what I noticed here. So this ecosystem has been growing and it has created a lot of innovation and very successful cases. So we have seen a lot of success around this. And what comes immediately after success is scaling the success, scaling the business. Yeah. So we have seen here a lot of topics that are very, very well known to the telecom industry, which is scaling, technical scaling. We had the VoIP innovation scaling, clean phone numbers is a problem. We see it in our industry with the messaging. Messaging scaling is a problem. There will be price pressure for enterprises because scaling business will always cause a discussion of costs again. Yeah. We had the scenario that it's very inspiring to put platforms and plug them all together and hand over pieces of services so that you can continue to enrich services by just accumulating features, functional features from different platforms. But you should never forget that whilst doing that, you might run into an issue where you actually have a service degradation because you run it through so many platforms. So you also have to then take a step back a bit and think about how do you actually want to do true scaling for big businesses. Another thing that goes into the same direction is if you're actually a scaling business and you are very successful and have a lot of revenues, security comes back at the topic. So it's something that is overlooked very easily if you're so enthusiastic and build new stuff. Security, and that was a beautiful talk by you. I enjoyed it a lot. Sometimes it's overlooked, but it can be so easy. So these old telco traits, scalability, security, they come back. But instead of having them inherently integrated in the protocols, we now put an additional layer on the service layers where we have focused so much on. And I'm very happy to see that this happens before we actually go to scale and fail. So that is something that I found very insightful this specific time joining here.
Cool, thanks so much, Marco.
Yeah, this has been the first year for myself and Apifonica being in both that hack and here as well, and it has been really a pleasure to see the teams working hard, getting new innovations done in really short period of time, and then here all the nice people. I personally most enjoyed the discussions I have had with a number of people here during these 2 days. And I want to thank you all for that. Thanks.
Yeah, because I have to admit, when Apifonica came on, I was like a little worried. You were the new guys on the block. It's, but I think what you did, and this comes back to what Chip was sharing in terms of marketing to developers is bloody hard. Well, actually, you shouldn't market to developers. What you did with TEDhack, I think, is a great example of you make it easy and you make it fun. And then, within a hackathon term, I mean, what Chip was sharing in terms of it's just solving problems. That's it. As long as you can make that clear, show you can solve them. But I think it's making it fun was the key to your success in terms of just the number of hacks you had when you were a new kid on the block in TADhack Global.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, what I'm curious to see for in the next 12 months is. Personally with us, but I'm very curious to hear how it rolls out with all these marketplaces and showrooms. I mean, I've been in the space now for 4 years, and I'm, of course, one of the reasons also we sold API to VoIP Innovations is to see when this thing is going really to be totally everywhere, and that. Okay, you go in the street, everybody knows all these beautiful APIs and what you can build. Because it's really, I mean, all the APIs around here and all the platforms are very powerful, and you still see old industries or old usages not only telcos but also in the UC industry and so on. And there are so many like beautiful and simple things to do. And people, and it's a discussion we had always. I always say the education is the most difficult part. But I think that all this white labeling, reselling, and so on will help to push and to accelerate a lot the awareness of what you can do and what you have been evangelizing for 4 years. This is, I would like to see what happens next year.
Veeting was a great example, where they just basically, it's a simple reseller model and they embed within other services that are then sold. So
right.
Absolutely.
But for us, this is our third year, and actually we're introduced to TADS from Telestacks, and got to meet James as well, and dragged into the dangerous demo 2 years ago. But talking about the just the maturity of what's happened in the last couple of years, you started the summit with the reminder of this is when the first MVNO went live, and how far the industry has come, and with the programmable work and the APIs and everything that everyone in this room has done and contributed to, truly, it's an order of magnitude, at least maybe 2 orders of magnitude easier for someone to break in and bring creativity and develop disruptive applications. And the word's overused a lot, but we're actually seeing it being done. And just even the maturity level and the conversations we're having this year versus last year. We started off also, the companies that have been acquired and, growing up and be successful. So, this is moving very, very fast, and we won't be in the same place again next year. It'll just continue moving, and it's causing pressure in a positive way on the traditional telecoms. They have to move. James' comment of, will they still be here or not? We'll see, but if they don't, these types of technology are the ones who are going to push them out of the way, and at the same time showing it's a sustainable business model for companies to get into, and it's changing the way that we interact with our technology and interact with each other. So I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things that came through, especially on day one, where we saw with Zoe, where they're offering unified communications as a service, but also CPaaS, because let's face it, it's all a telecom app server running in the cloud. So what spin you want to put on it, because you could consider UCaaS as a subset of CPaaS. So that was and then of course, was it Dean that coined the CPaaS ass?
CPaaS ass.
Which, again, is sort of showing that sort of componentization, but also the thing that came through in, it was your presentation, David, but several of the others, was this hierarchy. I mean, I've talked about it before, but it's great to see in the offers now that you've got how enterprises can just consume a service. Because most enterprises today just want a service to work. They don't care about all the feature function. It's like, I just need to get rid of this old PBX. Or I just need to be able to have my people, whether they're out of the office or in the office, to be able to get their messages and calls wherever they are. Because my competitor's doing it and it's saving them money. Or it's making their people more productive. And then that sort of staircase where you start to enable configuration, or you start to enable, so the Telestacks guys were sharing a GUI, so that you can make it easy for non-programmers to start going in and doing stuff, sort of doing web integrations, doing some workflow within there. And then, of course, that naturally progresses to an API where you can then sort of embed these capabilities. And that staircase is something that, and I'm sort of jumping to the next big thing, and there isn't. But I sort of put it in there. One of the things that I'm seeing in all the work that we're doing here and through TADHack is we're easing assembly. That is, we're making it easier and easier to create solutions to the problems we face in our lives or in our businesses. And we're only just scratching the surface of how we're making that easier. But I think that, for me, is one of the trends. And this is like a decade-long trend. I mean, most probably, if we're still running in 10 years' time, it will be to the point where it's going to be, almost like the technology. Technology at the moment is still a very strong theme. It's like 95% of what we're discussing here. but with assembly getting easier and easier, it then means that we're dealing with really multifunctional teams. We've got a lot broader range of sort of marketing product people involved in how they solve the problems they face day to day, being able to use tools and techniques that really are open access to all. So for me, it's assembly is the sort of long-term aim, and everyone here is taking a slightly different approach. Like with James, with Telet Research, you're making it really easy now for enterprises to be able to run their own networks. So again, they don't have to be expertise and all the signaling and all the rest. It's being able to say, well, look, take this product. We can basically sort of do all the back-end stuff for you. You just need to provision these sort of acceleron base stations, and the world's beautiful. Okay, so I don't know. I mean, we can wrap up, or do you have any more comments?
I'd like to say little highlights. Yeah, I enjoyed James's crazy ass demo, and I want to run out and buy one of those E1000s and put it in my backyard.
There you go. Man's there.
Price has to come down a little bit, but I totally agree with you, Alan. Around first off, I want to say, the world is kind of crazy right now. It seems like, everything's like, shaking. And so there's a lot of noise out there. There's all kinds of new types of technologies that are coming out down the pipe. There's some promise, I think, where you see areas like, blockchain and Bitcoin, where it kind of evens the playing field from, say, the government to us, dealing directly. And I also think that the assembly of services, of different types of collaboration, that it'd be more open. And I really like the way this show's been, because it's not like, this is mine here. We're sharing ideas. Yeah. I think, from my experience in telecom, it's very incestuous industry. It's no carrier is an island. They're all connected to each other. They all buy from each other. So it's just about how we learn to take these assembly services and apply them in our lives, into our daily business, into enterprise, to actually, I'm hoping, to save us, because it's kind of crazy, what's going to happen in 20 years? We're either going to blow ourselves up, or we're going to find a way to fix everything. So that's what I really hope to see.
It's just for the next 3 years we got to worry about.
We got to get somebody out somewhere.
James, do you want to say anything else? Or?
Yeah. Would I want to say something else? It's very difficult to actually explain what TADSummit is about. It's not really a trade show where you go to sell things, because you don't. But it's much more valuable than that. It's all about these very precious but very fragile things that are thoughts and ideas.
And people.
And the people, yeah. And for me, that's my lifeblood. Because without these wild and wacky ideas, I would go nowhere. And this place is one of the few places where people don't hold back. They come out with wild and wacky ideas, and they don't care if they're just total rubbish, because a lot of them are, I have to say. Mr. Hamer. But every now and then, you get one of these really, really good ones, which is just so good that it kind of, as what's his name? The Apple Man. Johnny Ive said it sucks the air out of the room, literally, and you go, wow, that's good, and that's what keeps me going. So thank you for starting that.
No problem at all, and it's nice to see sort of. Let me jump to Dean. Yeah,
no, I'll go to him. A question, a comment from Dean.
The other event in the public eye in the last week or two that sort of caught my eye in terms of also changing thinking was the Facebook Telecom Infra Project Summit that happened last week in the US. I wish I could have been there. But that's where they've got things like Open Cellular, where they've got a bunch of things that are focused on, partly on developer side of things, but also on sort of culture change, some of the network internals, either open source or new models doing it. I'm wondering if there's any way of looking at a Venn diagram intersection between the two.
You know what? I've done the tip stuff,
Yeah.
and it's nowhere near as good. And the reason it's not as good is that it's kind of been taken over by all those big people who have a vested interest in the old regime. And they piled in there, and they're kind of squashing a lot of the good ideas.
Well, and also don't forget, Facebook is evil. I mean, that's why David is here, to save us from Facebook and the centralized web.
Yeah, so this community I find a lot better. I mean, the tip stuff, I get all the news groups and things, and it's just, it's flabby. It's not flabby. Yeah, it's not as exciting. Whereas here you get the raw, wild content.
Absolutely. And then just to finish it, because it was just a comment I was going to make in terms of the people. James was Truephone. He's now Telet Research. Harold and John were Troppo, so one of the original founders, was Cisco for a time, and now are Telestacks and Ribbon Communication stroke Candy. So it's great to see that sort of it's the people are the constant as basically the sort of companies sort of cycle through. So anyway.
Just wanted to add a comment on the tip from Facebook. We've been involved as well, coming from the open source stuff. And what we find out is that it's not easy to have so many members, and what was claimed to be open source was not fully open sourced. So there is a lot of battles, political battles, to be fought in that. And we saw a lot of resistance and friction within Facebook itself and between the team members. So it's not that easy to get that started off the ground. I think it depends on the, honestly, it's probably not true to all of the tip units, but at least for the one we're involved in, it was not that exciting, unfortunately. There was a number of people that were excited to move forward, but at the Facebook level, some of the execution was not there yet, and it may be because it's young and it will change. So, but it's definitely interesting as well to be involved there.
Thank you, Jean. Patrice?
No, but I mean, for me, I see the idea. I did both because I was operator when I started.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I didn't learn a lot, but so it's very, for me, TADS is basically a database of ideas and a sort of family where we can exchange to each other. I mean, there is no competition here. What I would expect once is that we could replace Mobile World Congress by Alan World Congress and have the community sufficient to deal with it.
Well, we're not competing with them. We're not trying to do what they're doing.
No, but you do it in a better way.
So what I suggest is just sit there. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes just to wrap everything up, and then we can sort of break and sort of finish off the sweets and just have a quick chat.